Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This guy over here is Tim, and today we are talking about another live caller on the Second Legacy. And if you want to see Second Legacy grow as much as we do, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. We think this can truly make a difference in passing the Second Amendment along to the next generation, and thank you so much in advance if you're willing to jump on this train with us. And if you want to be on the live calling show, just like you're about to see, there is a Google form in the description box below. We'd love to have you on. Fill it out, and we'll see if our schedules align, and we can make this happen. And before we dive into this, we are going to say a quick word from our sponsor, Bullet Safe, and then we are going to jump into this call. Now, the vest you're seeing me wear is from Bullet Safe, and they've sponsored these videos. Bullet Safe is on a mission to be the #1 provider for safety equipment such as this for not only the civilian, but also the security market. Now, the VP3 that I'm wearing comes in at $299.97, which makes it completely affordable and provides up to or better than Kevlar protection. This thing is NIJ level 3 tested. You are talking about up to 44 Magnum stopping on this bad boy. They've made it concealable, discreet, comfortable, and breathable. It's modular and upgradable, and in comparison to previous models, it's 50% thinner and 25% lighter. As you can see, I'm wearing in the filming of this spot, and it is not even adding to any of my dexterity whatsoever. This is something very concealable, and if you're in the market, this might be something just for you. And thank you to Bullet Safe for making this content possible. All right, thank you so much to Bullet Safe for that. There's a link in the description box below, but let's get into this call. Matthew, thank you so much for calling in, man. What you got for me and Tim?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Like I said, big fans of both of you. My question kind of gets into a tiny little rant, but basically the question is, what can I do to help keep our rights? Social media seems to be very emotional and nobody seems to listen to sides. And I've listened to a lot of what both of you guys say, and Tim, you're notorious for saying that we need to get involved. So I was just curious what kind of sources of information you guys use. What is the quick and easiest way to make an impact, if that's emailing, calling, senators, governors, those kind of political people? What's the most effective way to do that? And we just need them to hear us and listen to us. And this kind of all got spurred out of when I reached out to John Ossoff per Jared from Guns and Gadgets video. And I actually do have that voicemail, and I think I sent it to you guys, and if you wanted me to play it, but that kind of the summary is they said they support common sense gun safety reform, background checks, which we all know are already conducted on every sale, and working to tackle gun problems in Georgia as well as locally.
Right.
And, this is really just a bunch of crap that they stick on the wall with one misleading note that the Democrats typically like to state.
Yeah. No. So first of all, John Ossoff, striking close to my heart. That's in Georgia. That was emotionally depressing when that happened. That guy, the senator from Georgia, that is a situation. I think that's a great question. And I mean, I've got my own thoughts on it. Tim, why don't you start it off, and then I'll just kind of fill in the gaps wherever I think we have a natural overlap.
Sure. So the easiest way to contact your representatives, there's a number of different sites out there you can use. I mean, Congress itself has a form where you can find your representatives and contact them. Then you have groups like Gun Owners of America that have on their website forms that you can use to contact your representatives. At the state level, I'm not aware. I'm sure there's a website out there that has the contact information at the state level, but you might have to do a little bit more digging, but you can find those representatives through the state. There's nothing I hate more than all these little phrases the anti-gunners come up with. Like when you ask somebody specifically, where do you stand on the Second Amendment? And their response is, I support common sense gun laws. Talk about a nothing burger. Yeah. What does that even mean?
Yeah,
I support common sense. Okay, thanks, man. That's just what I needed to hear.
You laid it that plain.
Yeah, it's a typical political response that is a big nothing. It's because they don't want you to trap them, and they're trying to pander to you to get you to, maybe side with them because they sound reasonable. But that's just politics in the United States today. You can sit and watch a debate. They'll ask the candidate a question, and the candidate will do a 15, 20-minute response that has nothing to do with the question. And then even if they try to bring them back to the conversation, they will have nothing to do with that, and they'll just continue on the path. You can ask them a question about firearms, and they're off onto colonizing Mars. So, right. In that regard, it's a complete mess. Yes, I often do say, get politically involved. And there's a number of ways to do that. Obviously, calling your representatives is the most effective. Next in line would be emailing them. But then also at the state and local level, again, I've said this many times, all politics are local, right? So getting involved with local groups, doing fundraisers, getting involved with schools, trying to get people to come in that would, teach. Like in Indiana, we have an organization that's teaching skeet and trap shooting to school students, right? That seems to get their foot in the door because they're opposed to rifles, but not so much opposed to shotguns. So there's a whole bunch of things we can do to kind of, bend things back culturally towards our position and getting people back to where they should be with regards to their views and understanding of the Second Amendment. But Braden, what were you thinking?
So mine was a little bit more base level. So I think there's a gap that we have in the Second Amendment world, and it's not at the top where the traditional pressure goes to, like, contact your representatives, which is an amazing thing to do. That's something that I think we all should do. There's lots of times that I've called for it. Like you mentioned, Jared has called for it. I mean, I know, Tim, you've been involved in doing stuff of that nature. It's a very powerful move. But there's also something else that the left does that is a little bit stronger on the grassroots, which is a longer term play. And what they do is they convert individuals day to day in conversations through social media, through activism, through all of these different elements of, honestly, there's a lot of misinformation that they utilize to do it. But I think the number one thing that you could do to change the course of our dialect or our conversation is to understand and spend a little bit of time to be fully versed in everything that we have on the Second Amendment, so education, but then also education on communication. Because the big area that we struggle with, at least in my opinion, is communicating our points that back up the Second Amendment and profoundly deliver the point of the Second Amendment. Because there's a lot of things that can kind of get in the way of that, like emotion, and when you're arguing from the left, like, do you have the ability to have someone scream in your face and then respond in a very calm manner? Some people don't have that, and that's just flat out. I get it. I understand that. But in my opinion, the biggest thing is, yes, be active on the high level, but also spend some time into communication and learning how to actually reach people where they're at versus reaching people where you expect them to be. Because a lot of the things, like if you ask one further question on a gun control perspective or gun control advocate, you just ask the simple question of why and then ask with a follow-up how, it falls apart pretty quickly. For example, what do you want to do with AR bans? We should get rid of no new AR bans or no new ARs in the United States. What about the old ones? Well, those too, but you can't take them because they're private property. Well, then only ban new ones. But I thought they were the problem. You see what I'm saying? Like there's so many problems with the arguments presented, but you have to have a calm demeanor in order to address them and point out the flaws. Like, for example, Tim Pool did something, I'm not sure if you guys saw it on his channel, where he was talking to a leftist about abortion and completely calmly annihilated this guy because he let him walk himself into a trap. And it was brutal. I don't know if you saw it, Tim, but
no. But he's good at doing that, as is Rogan.
It was genuinely brutal. But that's a communication style. That's a communication skill, and that's kind of what I'm getting to. That's where I would lead into. I would lean into full awareness of education of what's going on with our points, but also full education and analysis on how to communicate those points. That's kind of where I would go to, and I'd like to see more of it, to be honest.
What's interesting, you brought up social media, and it's a Wild West show. And, a lot of social media platforms, not a lot, but a handful, I've walked away from, like Instagram. If I post on Instagram, they'll go drudge up a post from 10 years ago and ding me for it. And so I just quit. And when I don't post there, they don't ding me for those old posts. They're trying to push me off the platform. They don't want me there. Fine. I don't want to be there either. I've moved over to Twitter since Elon Musk purchased Twitter. Twitter became an open platform. So we can go so far as to post gun deals. If I find a good deal on a firearm, I can post it on Twitter. They don't ping me. They don't ding me for it. And so we don't even have that freedom here on YouTube. YouTube is very restrictive on what we can say and do and what we can link to. And so social media is actually, it's going through an evolution. And yes, it's not just in social media, but that's just, I think, in our entire culture, our political system, we're very divisive. The battle lines are drawn. People have their opinions. You're not changing anybody's mind. And now it's just a war of words. And then you have us, and I like to think that we have the facts on our side. And then you have them, they have nothing but emotion and false stats and lies, outright lies. And
easily refutable, by the way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Going to Braden's point, the best way to combat that is with calm demeanor, and with facts. And there's so many facts out there. Just a quick Google search, you can find all the FBI statistics you need to have a rational discussion. When they start coming after assault weapons and weapons of war, you say, yeah, so you're scared of the AR-15, right? Yeah, we got to get rid of that weapon of war. It's killing everybody. Okay, less than 100 misuses a year. Less than 100 in a nation of 330 million people. Statistical zero. What are you pearl clutching over? Where's the outrage over drunk driving and deaths there? Where's the outrage over hands and feet that kill more people? So their arguments are so full of so many logical holes that it's so easy to point them out, but you just have to arm yourself with that information.
Oh, 100%. I just to kind of build on that, and I'm so sorry, Matthew. I want to bring you in. I just want to say one thing on that because I'll forget. I'm sometimes like a fruit bat. One of the most important things, and Tim just did a great job of using examples of other things that have much more dire statistics than the dreaded target of an AR-15. Right? I really like to go into the statistics in the same field. Like I like to hit the handgun statistics, and a lot of people on the right side of the argument, on the gun right side, will say, well, hey, don't say anything about the handgun thing. That just gives them another argument. Believe me, first of all, that's not something they haven't thought about. It's not like I just came up and said, hey guys, this great idea, try this. No. There's a very specific reason they don't talk about that. And the reason that they don't talk about that is because even Democrat voters want their handguns and their revolvers and their shotguns protected. They will not go near a handgun ban, because they know they don't have support for it. So they're going to try to do the incremental approach, AR-15's N-word, AK-47's N-word. They're going to try to do all these things. And honestly, I personally like using the argument of, well, if you want to ban these because of all the dramatic damage that you're saying that they're doing, why aren't you talking about handguns? Let them answer the question. Anyway, please continue. I just want to throw that out there.
Absolutely, but it's kind of like Tim, you say all the time, AR-15s are literally a statistical zero in terms of death and crimes in the United States as well as abroad. But, I feel like when you do throw those stats back out, they say, like an example is Republicans aren't doing anything to try to make schools harder and save lives, etc. And then you point to the Ted Cruz bill, and they're like, oh, well, that came from Ted Cruz's website. Well, yeah, it's because he created that. I mean, you can locate that on multiple sources, but they often, much like the self-defense in the United States with the CDC deleting data about that, and how basically, in summary, self-defense situations far outweigh negative shootings in the United States, but they just either delete that information or kind of try to debunk that as false, and then you just get back to the same point as, I presented you data and you refute the source kind of.
So you just, first of all, I didn't know we had a sleeping YouTuber on this call. That's some good data pull, dude, with the Ted Cruz bill and the CDC. Well done. That's some of that nuanced stuff. But here's something important to understand as you're going down that road. And this goes back to that point I made earlier with communication and the why and understanding people. When you're having a debate with another person who is firmly planted in gun control, you're not having that conversation to turn that person from gun control to gun rights. You're having that conversation because the other people in the room are watching that conversation happen. And if you're coming across as the calm, statistically sound, and rights sound approach, you're going to bring more people to your side, because the left isn't going to move over to the right anyway. This is well known. They always chase the independents. Well, the independents are the ones that are listening to those arguments. That's really important to remember.
Yep. Including in your social media posts.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just look at Davey Hogg, dude. We have to bring him up a lot because he's a great example of this. But people in the middle look at Davey Hogg and go, "Bro, would you just chill?"
Yeah.
And people on the gun rights side, of course, are going to be like, "Please," but the left is going to gratify it, but the middle is what's going to change it.
Like most anti-gunners, though, he's so manic. He's just all over the place. I'm not after your guns. Nobody wants to ban your guns. Take them all away.
Did you see?
You're not guaranteed a right.
Did you see his most recent post? His most recent post was, "We need to be more demanding and more aggressive."
Yeah. And Gen Z is going to save the day. Here comes communism. It's going to save the day.
Can you be more demanding, Davey? I don't think you can.
Oh, man. Well, Matthew, thank you so much. Oh, go ahead.
So if you guys want a treat, follow Tim's Military Arms channel because he doesn't miss a Davey quote. And he always claps back and it's beautiful. I just want to
I have a good time on Twitter with old Davey Hogg. As a matter of fact, I've included in the most recent video, my homesteader video from Henry. Yeah, I put his face in that one. I had to. I just like poking that little bear. So cute.
He's so cute. Right. He's a teddy bear.
Matthew, thank you for calling in, my friend. If you guys, what's up?
I said I love it, guys. Hey, Braden, I'm from South Georgia as well. What part of Georgia are you from?
I'm from the northern part, just above the city of Atlanta.
I gotcha.
That's the second time we had a...
I'm not going to tell you how far north, though, because that keeps the mystery alive.
Hey.
we had two folks from Georgia recently on the show, and I'm surprised he didn't call out the accent, but yeah.
I didn't want to beat the dead horse and take too much vitamin D.
All right. Matthew, again, thank you for calling in, my friend. If you guys like to be on the show, the best way to do that is to get in the video description below, follow that link to the Google Doc, and fill that out. We'll give you a call, get you on the show. You can ask your question or make a statement. We'll have a conversation around it. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.